Hi guys, ya sabes que Carlos Irteta to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm bringing to you another delicious meal that's going to be ready in 60 minutes. This one is one of those meals that the whole family will love, especially the kids. From start to finish, it's kid friendly. It is so delicious. We're going to be making fried chicken cutlets. We're going to be serving it with pizza pasta. What could be wrong with that? And then we're going to also make a nice salad and some dessert. The whole thing is going to be ready in under an hour, like we just said, and it's delicious for a party or for a weeknight meal. Let's get started with the pasta. I have a pot of water that's boiling. It's already come to a boil. To it, I'm going to add some salt and a pound of pasta. Today I'm using penne rigata, but you can use your favorite pasta, whatever you have. And I'm just going to let this boil for about 10 minutes or so. That's how long it takes for it to be a little bit undercooked. You do not want to overcook this because it's going to bake for 45 minutes in the oven. So 10 minutes should be good enough. And in the meantime, just make sure your oven is preheated to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to move on as soon as the pasta is done. So once the pasta is done, I just boiled mine for 10 minutes like I said. You want to take it out and put it in a 9 by 13 inch baking dish. I have this round one here. It's a little bit bigger than a 9 by 13 inch, but that's because I really do like a lot of a cheese topping on top. So it could be like a pizza, but 9 by 13 works because I do that all the time. Now I'm going to add, first of all, I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil and just a tiny pinch of salt to the pasta. And I'm going to add a little bit of oregano, dried oregano. Now, if you're using regular oregano from the supermarket that's not Greek or Mexican, then you can go a little bit heavy on it and it'll be fine. But Greek and Mexican oregano tends to be very strong, so go a little bit easy with that. We're just going to give this a nice mix. And now the easiest part of all, 2 cans of pasta sauce. If you grow your own tomatoes in the summertime and you make pasta sauce, definitely use that. But this is a nice shortcut. Get your favorite pasta sauce and put it in there. And I like this pasta to be super saucy, so I do put 2 cans in here. A little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes for heat. If you don't want it, leave it out. A little bit of black pepper. You could put some basil in here too. Dried basil has all that pizza flavor, so basil would be nice. Just mix everything up and give it a taste to make sure that it doesn't need any more salt or pepper or anything like that. The sauce is usually flavored perfect, so it doesn't need anything else. Now for the best part, the cheese. So I have some mozzarella over here. I like to buy mozzarella in big blocks. If you've been watching this show for a while, you've seen me do it. I cut the block into rectangles or little chunks like this, and then I freeze some and I leave some in my refrigerator. We go through lots and lots of mozzarella. If you buy yours shredded, then all you have to do is just put lots of mozzarella in here. I'm not going to shred this right now. I'm just going to cut this into little bite-sized pieces. I like little chunks of mozzarella throughout this dish. There's never really enough cheese in this, but that looks like a good amount. Now, as if that's not enough, I'm going to also put a layer of shredded Gouda on top of this, but you can definitely leave it with more shredded mozzarella on top. Gouda is a little bit tangy, it melts beautifully, it just adds so much good flavor. And in this recipe, you can make it with your favorite ingredients. So I go with Gouda because lots of pizzerias in Greece use Gouda instead of mozzarella, and I grew up eating it and it tastes delicious to me. So that's the reason I stick with the Gouda cheese, and sometimes I do use mozzarella if that's all I have, but you can use your favorite cheese. Gruyere would be nice. If you want to mix in some cheddar, would be good too. And if you want to make this a complete meal and you have some meat sauce in your freezer, if you meal prep, I've done a video on that, you can throw some meat sauce in here too, mix it up, and it'll be just, you won't need anything else with it other than a salad. So this looks good to me the way it is. So you want to cover it with foil and bake it for 45 minutes in a preheated 425 degrees Fahrenheit oven. The center rack is best. It's gonna, after 45 minutes, uncover it and then let it cook for about 10 more minutes so the cheese gets nice and golden and bubbly. And I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Now we're gonna move on to making the chicken. So instead of starting with the chicken is gonna be done in no time, and we have time for that. I'm gonna make the dessert. So for dessert, we're making a Nutella Puff pastry. It's almost gonna be like a cookie or a twist or both. So you wanna thaw out some puff pastry. The best way to do it, if you're planning ahead, just put it in your refrigerator overnight. It's usually sold frozen, and I keep it in my freezer, and I always have a box in there because it is my go-to pastry for if I want to make something really quickly for guests or for the family. So if you didn't thaw it out in the refrigerator overnight, then leave it on the counter for about 30 minutes and it should be good to go. It is easier to work with when it's cold though. So if you can thaw it out for 30 minutes and then refrigerate it while you're getting everything done, it'll be very easy to work with. Lightly flour your work surface and just roll the puff pastry out a tiny bit, about an inch on all sides should be good enough. Just a little bit. You want it to retain its puffiness, so don't roll it too thin. That looks about right, nothing fancy. Now I have some chocolate hazelnut spread. You can use Nutella, whatever your favorite chocolate hazelnut spread is. If you want to get a little bit more gourmet, you can spread some ganache on it. If you have people that are not chocolate lovers in your family, then jam would be great. Your favorite jam or preserves in here would be perfect. And you're just going to want to spread some Nutella on one side of the puff pastry. Resist the urge to make a very thick layer because then it's going to get messy. That looks about right. I put it on a little more than half of it, but that's fine. Some of them will be extra chocolatey, I guess. Now, either with a cookie cutter, or what is it called? A rolling cutter, a pizza cutter, or a knife, go ahead and cut out strips. This one will stay a little bit on the fatter side. You can be a little bit more precise than I am. And then go ahead and twist each one of the strips. Now, you can totally leave these like this and create little twists, but if you want to get extra fancy, you can roll them up to have little twisty cookies or pastries. And then put them on a baking tray that's lined with parchment paper. And don't worry about getting chocolate marks on them. So I'm going to continue twisting these. I'm going to do the same thing with the other sheet of puff pastry. Then I'm going to pop them in the freezer for about 10 minutes so that way they retain their shape. And then 20 minutes before the pasta comes out, I'm going to put these in the oven and they're going to bake for about 12 minutes or until they're puffy and golden. 12 to 15 minutes. I'll tell you exactly how long it took. But I'm going to continue doing this and then we're going to move on to making the chicken. So we've got 2 recipes out of the way. The cookies are chilling in the freezer until we're ready to use them. Now I have some chicken breast over here. Now what I did was I just rinsed them. Some people don't like to rinse chicken, and if you're one of them, you don't have to rinse it, no problem. It's just a habit of mine, so I do it, and then I pat it dry with some paper towels. Now these are some big chicken breasts, so what I'm gonna do, so that way they cook evenly and easier, I'm just gonna cut them into strips. You can also slice them in half or butterfly them, so that way you have thinner cutlets. But I like for them to be in strips. I feel like they're easier to fry that way, and they're fun to serve in little strips. Now, if you already have chicken tenders at home, then you can skip this whole part. Or if you have chicken cutlets, obviously they'll be thin enough to fry, and you could skip this part again. So I cut the chicken in as even strips as I could. It's, of course, not going to be perfect. And the secret to really delicious food is to season every step of the way. So I'm going to season the front and the back of these chicken strips with some salt and some black pepper. Okay, so the chicken is seasoned. Now it's time to make the egg wash. So for the egg wash, I'm going to put 4 eggs in this little pie pan over here, this baking pan. You can put them in anything you want, but I find that something that's really nice and shallow is really easy to work with. And to that, I'm going to add some milk, about 4 tablespoons or so, which is like a 1/4 cup. And then we need to season this as well with some salt and some black pepper. And then I'm just going to whisk this up. In the meantime, I have a cast iron skillet that's heating over medium heat, medium high almost, so it can get really nice and hot. I put some light olive oil in there. You can do grapeseed oil or whatever vegetable oil that doesn't have too much flavor and has a high smoking point. And now our breadcrumb mixture, which is where all of the crispiness and the flavor is going to come. I'm using some Panko breadcrumbs because I love their texture, but you can use regular unseasoned breadcrumbs. Just make sure whatever you're starting with is unseasoned because we're adding in all of the flavor. To that, I'm going to add some shredded Parmesan cheese, some dried oregano, a little bit of salt. We're not going to add too much salt because Parmesan cheese does tend to be salty. Some cumin powder, a little pinch of crushed red pepper flakes. They're optional. And I like to use granulated garlic powder for lots of flavor. We'll do 2 to 3 teaspoons. And we'll also put a little bit of black pepper in this. And that's it. You can leave out what you don't like, add in what you do like, and season the breadcrumbs to suit your taste. You could even leave them really simple with just the Parmesan cheese, a little bit of salt, and the breadcrumbs. That will do too. So you want to take one piece of chicken at a time and you dip it in the egg mixture. And just get that excess egg mixture off. This is going to be like the glue that's going to help all of this seasoning stick and the breadcrumbs. And then roll it and toss it into the breadcrumb mixture and just leave it in here until you have a few ready. So you want to make sure the oil is nice and hot at about 350 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Fry the chicken cutlets or the chicken strips on both sides until they're nice and golden and the internal temperature reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That should take about 10 minutes or so, but it's not about the time, more about the doneness of the chicken. It all depends on the thickness. I'll show you, I'm going to continue frying these, breading them, all that good stuff. Of course, I'm going to put them on a tray that's lined with paper towels to absorb the excess oil that it absorbs when frying. And as soon as they're done, we're going to put it all together and make the salad, and we're going to have a meal ready. So the pasta is ready. The chicken was done in it took 10 minutes for each batch to fry. If you want to bake them in the oven, you can follow my chicken parmesan with pesto recipe. I'll post that in the links down below. And then the pastry is also ready, the Nutella and puff pastry little swirls. Those are all done. Now the only thing that's left is a salad. I think we went a little bit over than an hour in this recipe, but it's going to be totally worth it. I guess if you want to leave out the salad, you could, and just put a nice green salad with your favorite dressing on top and call it a day. But this marullo salata, which is a green Greek salad, is really simple and quick and delicious. You usually need some romaine lettuce for this, but I had some spring mix, so that's what I'm using. So you just want to roughly chop it. And then I'm just going to put it in a big bowl. And then I have some parsley that I'm going to finely chop. And we're going to add the parsley into the salad bowl. Then I have some scallions. I think these are too many, so we'll just do 3 for now. And I'm going all the way down to the whites, and those are going to also go into the salad bowl. Last ingredient, I have some cucumbers that I've already peeled, and I'm just going to roughly chop them. And those are also going to go into the salad bowl. Now I'm going to add a little bit of dill. If you have fresh dill, you can go and use fresh, but I'm putting a heaping teaspoon of dried dill in this, a little bit of salt. And then I have some red wine vinegar and some really good quality cold pressed extra virgin Greek olive oil. Just toss everything all together and that's it. Salad is ready. You can put some mint in here if you want to, some dried oregano, but it's going to be perfect just the way it is. So there you have it, a chicken and pasta dinner that the whole family will love. This is perfect party food, like we said before, perfect for entertaining for a crowd, but extra special for a nice weeknight meal for your family. It is time to take a bite. So we're gonna start off with the chicken. And the chicken should be nice and crispy on the outside, and it should still be soft and juicy on the inside. That would make some killer chicken sandwiches for the next day. Crispy on the outside, so flavorful, perfectly cooked on the inside. Like I said, it's worth every minute frying it because there's nothing like fried chicken. But if you want a healthier alternative, you could definitely bake it by following the recipe that I'm going to post down below. Now it's time to taste the pasta. And the pasta should be stringy and cheesy, and I'm going to have it with a little bite of salad. Tastes just like a pizza. The salad is nice and refreshing with all of those herbs. You guys are gonna love this one. It's gonna make it to your table at least once a week, I'll tell you that. And of course, there should always be room for dessert. Time to take a bite of these delicious Nutella twists, we'll call them, Nutella Puff pastry twists. Oh my God. Perfectly flaky, crispy on the outside. The chocolate makes it extra special. Of course, you can use whatever fillings you like to make the same exact pastry in a variety of flavors. Let me know how you guys are going to make it in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Hope you make it for your family, and I'll see you here next time. Yes,